Hi everyone, this is Mike Orland, and I'm next for today's obviously list of webinars that we're having with you. First of all, let me introduce my subject. Today we're going to talk about how arguments escalate in families and they erupt into sometimes issues that really become hard to handle, and we'll be giving you 4 tips to watch out for during this upcoming half an hour. But let me please spend a couple of minutes to thank also the speakers that came before me, obviously Sandra, Corinne, and the excellent work by Jade here, who gave us lots of tips. Move, that's the word I took from obviously her presentation. Also a shout out to Claire, also very helpful all throughout these live feeds. She is our tech woman, motivator, and also our cheerleader. So thank you, Claire, for all your help. So, well, let's move on to my subject today. And as I said, it is about managing arguments and having healthy ways of relating without creating damage to our relationships. In the subtitle to my presentation, I talked about this whole COVID situation and how it is obviously in different ways impacting our relationships. It is without any doubt that context in which we relate is really an important factor to watch out for during our conversations. It is without any doubt that it's one of the most important factors, one of the 4 factors that I'll be talking about to you during this presentation. And COVID times really helped us realize how our social well-being is very, very important. And it highly impacts also who we are on a one-to-one level. So really and truly, it is very important for each and every one of us to remain also healthy, because even if we do this on a social level in the right way, we are going to have healthy one-on-one relationships, avoiding conflicts. So very important to keep in mind that it is important to have the right time to carry out conversations and also our discussions. Very important also to consider some different stages in life where stress could be highly impacting the life of the couple. For example, in couple formation, the first period of time when everyone is a bit more excited about things and maybe a bit more sensitive about stuff, that is very important to control and keep emotions really under check. But it happens to be much easier when we're at the start of our relationships rather than at different other stages that come at a later phase. Amongst those is the first time you go to live with your partner on your own. So that is a very, very important time when changes there really create some difficulties to control our emotions sometimes, and also to make things a bit out of proportion. So that is very important for us. Another very important aspect that really and truly impacts the way we relate to each other are other stages of life. And amongst these is the arrival of children within a family, and that usually comes with lots of happiness, but mighty number of adjustments to carry out in the one-to-one relationship. So yes, it's very important that you keep everything in check, especially in this kind of period. Same goes to when children move out of the house and then the couple maybe returns to be the good old 2 people that you've known each other before having children. But that is again another very challenging time, because it's a major change that will get the couple to start relating once again on a one-to-one level. We got the distraction of children out of the way, and I know it's a pleasant distraction for most of the time, but it really and truly, the focus and energy we give to the upbringing of children really takes away a lot of the time that we dedicate to one-to-one relationships. Context of time also, however, is something important when we are out of the couple relationship. I don't want to focus only on couple relationships. You could be going through difficult times at your job, at your workplaces, and things tend to get heated even there. So it is very important that in stressful times, if some of your colleagues lost jobs or everyone is a bit pending about the future and what's going on, that you keep yourself in check when relating to each other. That is very important, and it will always keep your relationships very healthy. I will go on to talk about my second point, and that is the ability to listen and be listened to. It is very important that we do understand that it can't never be the right time. So as much as I talked about context and the need sometimes that we have the right time to discuss, and maybe our head is not going on different subjects and different things to handle, the shopping, daily living, you're having to do your routines, having maybe a house renovating or stuff like that, but it can not always be not the right time. So there has to be right time for discussions, and it has to be made if it doesn't come naturally. So obviously there is a second tip, that you have to make space for discussions. And discussions means that you create an environment when you're listened, when you're heard, and when you listen rightly to what your partner is saying, your friend is saying, your mother, father is saying, because that's extremely important. It is very important that we create an understanding, and we are what we call empathic. Now, in relationships, I have seen many couples that have the ability to be empathic. Because, let's put it this way, there are some people who can't be empathic because really and truly there are personality disorders, personality issues that impede someone to feel for other people. However, as I said, we need to create a context for empathy. And a context for empathy is sometimes very hard to foster all throughout a relationship. What do I mean when I say a context for good conversations where everyone listens and everyone is at ease listening to each other? I tend to bring about the example of a dining table, in a family, in a house. And if this dining table is the place where the 4 or 5 members of the family sit down to listen to each other, it's very important for them to have a healthy space. So around that table, around that dining table, it needs to remain healthy. And healthy in what way? So what makes an environment non-healthy, non-suitable for, obviously, conversation? It is not suitable for conversation if that dining table is the only time that we meet each other, and it's time to give out, all the instructions, give out all the obviously shouting and stuff like that, all the corrections, the constant nagging, and it becomes really an unhealthy environment for everyone to sit at. So what is very important is that no matter which is your space, if it's the dining table, the sofa, or not a physical space, but actually the house where we find ourselves talking to each other, we keep that environment healthy. And we keep it healthy by listening to each other, by thinking about what the other person is really saying, because that is very important. And we need to feel for each other. That is extremely important, that around the table, conversation remains manageable, remains, how can one say, like on a good tone, we avoid the constant shouting, we avoid the constant blaming that comes along, because otherwise it's going to be difficult to have people come around the table and discuss. Come on the bed, maybe half an hour before we fall asleep, and have a conversation. If I become dreadful about that spot in the house where we're going to carry out conversation, I'm not going to be ready to listen to anything being said. And how do we make it hard for us and other people to listen to each other. There's a very important element to keep. A person will stop being empathic, understanding me, and being with me in a conversation if I constantly attack that person and if I am being violent in the way I am relating to him or her. Okay, so empathy shuts down when I feel under threat. And it's for this reason very important that whenever we speak to each other, we don't put ourselves in a position where we are threatening. And we don't threaten by saying rude, threatening words directly. It is by the way we lead the conversation or by the way we react to conversation. If every time I'm talked to, I make a fuss and a lot of hysteria about what is being said, it's going to be hard for other people to approach me the next time. And when I'd like to have a conversation with someone else, it is going to be much harder for them to listen to me and give me that little bit of understanding that maybe would get me to go a long way. So apart from context, we need to take care of the environment at which we are talking. And we need to keep that healthy. I always say that we always criticize people and families for not having time for conversations. But I say there is a preceding thing that we need to care about, because not having time to talk has become a bit of a rhetoric. And what I think is that we really and truly need to have healthy environments where we can talk. Because my fear has always been that people don't talk because moving into the conversation might feel like a minefield for them. Let's see how I'll get the blame. Let's see what's mine into this time around. And let's see how things will be my fault, you know? And in that kind of environment, I obviously blame no one for not wanting to be there, not wanting to discuss, and unfortunately shutting down, even in a relationship between friends or in couple relationships. The same happens at workplaces where it becomes hard to communicate on any level that really impacts the work of the whole team. So that's two of the main 4 points. If you're liking anything that you know, please do comment, like this live feed. We'll be happy to react later also to some questions that you might come up with. So please feel free to click those buttons. What I'd like to move on to is the third point, a very important point, a very dear one to me, and one which I always insist on. In one of the kind of line of thoughts in family therapy is the contextual therapy. And contextual therapy has one very important paradigm, which is sacred to managing conversations and relationships with people. And it is a very simple, very commonly and very well known principle that we should all foster, but I think it tends to be forgotten. This is fairness. We talk about love being kind of only giving, not expecting anything back, but I'd say we'd be fooled if we expect to live life that way. I do believe that even our relational energies need to be recharged. And we recharge our energies not only when we give, because yes, that's pleasant, that gives us back, but also when we receive back. We always need something back to recharge and fuel us as a giving person. Now, I might not be the most giving of people, but it takes energy to give out. So receiving is very important. For this matter, being fair in relationships is extremely important. When looking at a family, at a couple, I do understand and I always look out for imbalances in the what I call emotional balance sheet. I am more than sure that no one goes on to write on a notebook, my dad has been unfair to me, my mother has been arrogant to me, my sister threatened me, my father was this, that, and the other. It would be an emotional nightmare to continue listing these things. And I think that we would put too much on the negative emotions rather than thinking about the positive ones. However, it exists. There is a ledger within us that is one that takes care of us receiving. And receiving in a way that is fair to what we do. And this happens both in the positives and in the negatives. In the positives, let's discuss a bit the positives. In the positive, it is very important to understand that when I am there for someone, I might not need him back as much as the other person needs me, but I need to find them when it's the right time for me to find them. And that is crucial for any relationship. I might be living with a woman or a man who are really not demanding at all. But make sure that when they require something, when they demand something, demand is a bit too imperative, but I mean, to make the opposite concept, we need to be there. Because it's only fair that whenever they need, which might be rarely, as opposed to our kind of needs, we are found to be there. On the negative side, fairness is much more difficult to balance because usually when we are criticizing someone and we feel hurt, it's very hard for us to control our emotions. But it's very important not to have instances where we are constantly passing negative comments, for example, to people around us. They can't be constantly wrong. They can't be constantly denigrating. They can't be constantly in the wrongdoing. And to treat people fairly, it is very important that you give feedback that is both positive and also when it is negative. But there's a very important ratio that we always say in giving constructive feedbacks, and that's give 5 positive feedbacks to 1 negative feedback. Hard to find, but you can easily find 5 positives if you stick to that kind of homework. So that's something you might need to take with you today after this session. And it is also very important that we relate back even to negative things in a way that we are fair also to what happened. So if something happens, let's get an example, like someone spilled something on the floor, a glass of water. My wife did it, my son did it. I cannot really and truly go overboard with my reaction to that single fact. I can't really and truly bring over 20 years of relationship and vomit it back on that occasion, because the unproportionality of my criticism would be undoubtedly very, very, very harmful. If someone feels that they are being attacked over a petty thing, it's going to be hard for me to get back on track with that relationship. And it might actually make the other person feel attacked, so then they find it hard to understand me, as we said in point 2, where if a person needs to understand my reactions, they need not feel attacked. So watch out when you're really and truly relating to people that you keep fairness. I always bring this little example that comes to mind. It's like if you have an ant to criticize in front of you, don't go out with your tankers, because it's going to be way too much, way too damaging when you are relating. We have to remember that after that negative comment, after that comment that we're doing, we need to continue relating, because we're still living in the same space, we still be living in the same workplace, and therefore one correction, one relational aspect cannot really and truly destroy all the upcoming relational patterns. And it tends to, if we are too aggressive in the way we give our feedback. So that's point 3, the importance of being fair to the people we are relating with. And I will go on to point number 4 before summarizing everything and close it off in a couple of minutes. Okay, so point number 4 is another important thing, and it's what I call the hidden feelings. I always talk in my therapy room about this kind of feeling, and people find me a bit insisting on looking for these hidden feelings. And really and truly, I do this for a very important reason. At face value, people react fast, okay? Because in groups, we are really and truly a normal system rather than reacting to an electrical impulse from a switch to an emotional cue sent to us by other people. So it is very important to understand that we relate to other people from what we interpret that is going on within us. So a very important point to keep in mind is that if someone is angry at you, there might be other feelings lying beneath. It's what we call a second order kind of feeling that is triggering the one which is up there. If you could really and truly try to categorize people's feelings, you can come up with basically four kind of feelings, but under those lie a myriad of other feelings. Let's make it simpler. Someone could be sad, and someone could be happy. Someone could be angry, okay? And I place them under 3 kind of main categories. But if you receive an angry reply to what you said, you need to ask, or you need to explain, if you have been angry, what really lies beneath your anger. Because there could be lots of things to which I come out as angry. One of them, I might be disappointed. I might feel that someone betrayed me. I might be feeling frustrated. And the surface feeling that I give out will always be anger. So it is very important not to stop with what actually came to you and you saw, because it's not always that simple to interpret what lies behind it. It is very important to understand that feelings are a very, very complex kind of emotional reaction to what is happening in a person's brain. So whenever you say something to your partner or to the people around you, your colleagues, your children, there is a filter within them that really and truly analyzes what you're saying. And what you'll get back is not necessarily what you meant to receive, but it's what they can give you back after processing what you said to them. So if in a way you tell me you are doing a good job, I might feel proud and I might say, thank you, showing that I'm happy. If you tell me you did this wrong, I might either feel that I am poor at doing this, that I am crap at doing anything that comes my way, that I am a total failure, that I am not worth investing in. So really and truly, it is very important to understand what lies behind the person's reaction, so that we are constantly in touch with what is happening around us and also what really and truly is getting back to us. So very important. Point number 4 is watch out for the other feelings. If someone was angry at you, don't ask why you were angry. Say, that was an angry reaction. What was behind it? What lied behind it? And if you were angry at someone and you would like to explain yourself, please go and do it. And you could say, look, I was angry because I really feel a failure. And I felt angry because what you said was disappointing. And I felt angry and shouted back at you because I did not expect it. I was surprised. Yes, when we are surprised, sometimes we laugh at things, sometimes we get angry at things. So, really and truly, one needs to explain what are the feelings that he gave out back in a conversation, or really and truly, what actually happened during that conversation for a reaction to have been a bit of an eruption over to a little argument. Because there are other things that may have compounded that reaction, and those most probably were within you. So this was the fourth and last thing to watch out when you are actually going through conversations. So we'll do a quick review before quitting on this presentation, and I leave it off to Rebecca to talk to us about CBT and how it can help you in challenging times, very much linking to what we have been saying. And these 4 points are: number one, context. Watch out if it's the time, and obviously make the right time. It is very important to remember it can't not be the right time every time. So make it. Number two is the ability to be listened to is very important, and people will empathize with you. But you need not mess with that by being aggressive towards a person or put him or you yourself be put in a defensive position. So watch out, don't put people under pressure if you want a good conversation. Number three is the ethics, the way we relate, okay? Be fair. Be fair in your conversations, be fair in your expectations on others. And number four, and the final point for you to take with you, is look for second order feelings. What lies beneath that person's reaction? And what lies beneath the first reaction you gave out to people? Explain yourself, and even if they've been hard at you, a bit angry at you, give them space to explain why that happened. That is very important. So, really and truly, that's all from my side today. Hope it has been a nice listening to me, and obviously react down there, and obviously with the likes and the cares and the hearts that we all enjoy receiving. Donate to us if it has been helpful, and the little tip and that you're going to take with you for this, kind of consider it a mini session from our side. Thanks a lot, and I will leave it all to Rebecca to wrap this day off. See you. Bye.